bullshitter, bruv. No bullshitter, bruv.
And, when was the last time you saw your knees?
Hey, you gotta show a little respect, you know.
Hope you choke on your meatballs.
That's no nice. Now, we are the masters, and time is our servant.
Right guys, welcome, it's another On The Road OTR. Getting another one for you guys, alright? So, thanks for tuning in, thank you again guys for coming in and checking another one, yeah? Coming on and checking another one. So basically it's another OTR movie slash, like, you know, a movie, yeah, OTR movie. Regardless of if I'm doing this like as multiple clips, usually that's what an OTR movie is. Like, it's I do multiple clips on the go, like out and about. So on my travels, stick them together. Bit of an exploration, a bit of a chat, you know, bit of exploring, bit of a muck around, get some secret training in martial arts wise, if possible. You know, that's what they do. But well, that's what they don't do, what they should do. They should do. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I'm not saying people need to do what I do, I'm just saying that you should in life, I think, you know, explore your mind, explore your body, you know, learn, explore, live the life, you know, get some exercise, go for a walk. You know, martial arts is good exercise too, especially for the mind and body. Focus. Think, open your mind to different topics and ideas, and I've always used this word like philosophy, philosophical, be philosophical, but what upset me is a lot of people change the meaning of that kind of thing. Like, to me, when I say philosophical, when I say I'm very philosophical, like a philosopher, I don't want to say like, I don't mean from like the point of view where, you know, you're just like this poetic thinker, because like some people might say that you are very philosophical, you sound very philosophical the way you speak. Like you may say certain things which sound really deep, or like you're speaking in proverbs and all that, or like you're just making things sound so beautiful and poetic, deep and simple at the same time, but like so deep, and but it sounds like you're speaking some mystical garbage jargon, some like magical, mystical way of thinking, like, which doesn't really relate to the real world. Or you're trying to be clever and you're trying to like relate things to the real world, but really it's just like wishful thinking, or just like certain kinds of thinking, and that's not what I'm doing. I mean, all thinking is ultimately the self-thought, the mind. You know what I mean? It's all exploration. It's all exploration of thought is reality. Even the imagination, because you're working with ideas that affect you and your being, and then a lot of times affect how you be in the world, you know. So with me, you can't walk around with no mind in your head, and without an idea, you can't. Where are you heading, you know? Naturally, nature, as I said, you're living with nature and its roots and everything. You come from nature, so your mind is literally the guiding force, as a, you know, of you yourself and your very being. Because a dead person can't think. When you may have a spirit and that we don't know, but you know, I'm just saying. You see, it's been raining earlier on today, raining a bit. So that's raining. That's still barricaded off those escalators. Last night I found out. So even though in the previous movie, when I was walking up on that second level there, when I went up on the escalators, my idea was to like, walk through there somehow and come down the other side, you know, other side. But we couldn't get through anyway. There's a lot of work being done on the building anyway. We've got various shops and stuff open. I've never been actually in there, the bottom floor, but that's an escalator that will be open at some stage, and we should be able to get back down from the other side. I'm not too sure. Okay, so just heading somewhere in here. But back to what I was saying, yeah. So basically, as I say, my point I'm trying to say, okay, my point I'm trying to say is, you know, philosophical. When you talk about being philosophical, there's two different ways of looking at it. So, like, what I mean is by like being wise in. I don't want to say you take certain information and you follow that only, and that's wise. And I'm saying questioning everything, looking at everything from two sides, being truthful and honest, open-minded, deeply observant and aware, more and more aware of things, you know, around you. And just a deep thinker, but like not someone who's just like in their own dark pool of misty swamp, you know. And that's what I'm saying. Someone who's like literally studying, you know, literally having like a mind that's alive, you know what I mean? There's no point in having a mind that's switched on like a burning computer just constantly, but it's like not open to any, you know what I mean, reality around it. It's like someone who's studying reality. And as I say, you've got to always be aware that there's two types of reality that always coexist. There's always two types of reality that coexist, and they're separate but they're the same. One reality, this guy listening to this young man's talking. The first reality, right? The first true reality is your reality, yourself, like you as a person, everyone's reality, right? And the other reality is just the reality of nature. I'm talking about, you know, like, I always talk to you guys about what I like the Tao, you know, yin and yang, the Chinese thing, but it's not Chinese, it's the true thing, you know, the truth, the reality, the real essence of nature, the Tao, okay? And it's a word, because it doesn't matter what you use, nature, society, nature, reality, science, truth, whatever you want to call it, the Tao, whatever. But the Tao basically is just a term, a Chinese term for talking about this whole concept of yin and yang, okay? Yin and yang, yin and yang. So there's two sides to everything. There's going to be balance in everything, and there's a natural order, a natural way of things for everything to exist. So being more truthful in that way, you're never going to know everything and know nothing. You're never going to know everything or know nothing. What I'm trying to say is that it's just you're a part of that. You know what I mean? We are part of the root. It's like everything's always changing. It's the amazing thing, right? Everything's always changing. You're never constant. You're never stuck in one point. Everything's always developing and flowing. But the thing is, you will never go back in time and you will never go forward in time. You see that? So you will never ever go back in, like, to the past, like to yesterday, or forward to tomorrow in the future. You're always going to be in now. Does it exist or doesn't it exist? You see what I'm saying? I say it's amazing. It's incredible because space and time, everything you do, the physical within the time that's existing and everything, there's got to be time for this thing to exist. And if this thing exists, there's got to be time for it to exist in, kind of thing, right? So the time and space, everything, matter, whatever you want to call it, the very reality, all of it, it's just incredible. You say, does it really exist? Is it a dream or what, you don't know? But what I'm saying is, right, you say, like, you can never, like, be in one time, but you can never be in any other time apart from now, which is also always changing, no matter how you cut it up, the milliseconds, the second, whatever. Yeah, so basically the truth is, so everything and nothing is and nothing is everything, as I've always said. There's always two truths, you existing and non-existing at the same time. But so when you understand that deep level of shit, that deep stuff, you're like, okay, so I don't know anything. What can I learn? But it's like, the thing is, you open your mind up to so many things and you become humble and honest in your way, in your dealings in life, and your mind starts to open, you become calmer, because you can't do everything. But when you're calm, everything comes more naturally and you become more observant. When you're true, you have true eyes, and you feel the ground underneath your feet that you're stepping, you breathe in the air and you look up and there's a universe above us, and we're just walking. Here we are, you know, in the life, and we have this one time to live, and you just try and make the most of it and enjoy it the best you can. So what we're really doing is seeking truth a true thinker, a true active, natural, alive mind with reality in accordance with the Tao and everything. It's part of what it is, truth. And that's basically an open, a good mind, a real healthy mind. That's what it really is. It's not like I don't mean like a daydreamer when I say a philosopher. I'll talk to you in the following clip. We'll do another clip tonight when on my way back, alright? This is an OTR movie. Deep, philosophical, mind, body, exploration, everything. Talk to you later, yeah? Peace.
No bullshitter, bruv. No bullshitter, bruv.
The lift of fury. The lift of fury. It's a big building. Big building. Big building there. Big building. Just leaving the big building there behind me and going now. Escaping from the big building, you know. Oh yeah, it's dinner time. Got some absolutely special fried rice that my wife's done. Let's fucking get it down. Okay, so guys, in this clip, you can just hear my voice and watch my tea brewing. Basically, let's continue what I was saying. So, it's night time now in this next clip. You can't see me, but it's night time, okay? And I've come back from my boring place, which I had to go to. And I want to continue talking about where we left off again, just a little bit, talking about this whole idea about everything and nothing, you know, and basically yin and yang and everything that it incorporates, so reality in general, okay, reality in general. Can we have time separate from anything else? Everything else that exists is basically existence. So I feel funny using the word like time and space, because we're talking about absolutely everything, space and matter, which is like, you can say space and matter are also like opposite. Like space exists for there to be matter to exist in it. We've also talked about matter being absolutely everything, and we're talking about absolutely everything that exists, even the things that don't exist, like the opposites of everything too, which do exist. For if they didn't exist, then we would not have the things that do exist, because the opposites make the other side. So this is how incredible it is. Let's just recap on what we just said. Okay, so time always exists and never exists. Okay, we will never get ahead of ourselves, where, you know, to the place which we will never get to the time or place or the space, the existence that is ahead of us or yet to be. You know, can we have development of anything without there be time for that to develop in or in accordance with or be that? And the same for the past. So please bear with me while I eat my food and I talk to you at the same time. But I want to say, you know, so we're never going to go ahead of ourselves, and we're never going to go back in time either. We will never go forward ahead of ourselves or behind, like, back in the past either. You'll never even undo something that you've already done. Or you'll, like, if you break something and you go to fix it, you know, or you do something wrong and then you apologise or whatever it is, like, when you try and fix something, you're actually just reworking with things, remaking things, or doing something again. You don't actually go back. So, you know, we look at things like rearrange things. We look at things like we're just designing and arranging and building and making or destroying. From a human point of view, all we're really doing is moving pieces around and you know, talking about them. So time must exist for there to be anything in it. Can you imagine time without anything? The amazing thing is, nothing exists because something exists, and something, as we've already said, something incorporates everything, because every idea, the solid physical body of the human, the rocks on the mountains, the space itself that is nothing, or that is made up of other energy, whatever in the universe, the things we can't even imagine, to the whatever is possible, whatever is what I'm trying to say, whatever is, so that includes anything, whether it's heaven, hell, limbo, the afterlife, multiverses, your spirit. It's still it's hard for me to use the word matter or solid, but it is a thing, it's an existence, okay? As is that thing which doesn't exist, nothing. So I used to always say everything is nothing and nothing is everything, which also incorporates, at the same time, equally, everything is everything and nothing's nothing. At the same time as everything being nothing and nothing being everything. Sounds crazy. Yin and yang, the eternal flow of all of this. Never is a kind of forever. And forever can be a kind of never. Of its never what, or never anything. Never anything of its something. So anything is always and never anything. And what's the opposite of anything? Well, it's the opposite of what anything is, obviously. And there's so much unobvious stuff in all of this, you know. You know? I know everything. No, so basically, you know, I'm just talking about it like, you know what it is, man. So, basically, you know, time, can you imagine? It's almost like existence itself. That can also stand for time, right? I'm talking about the physical, anything that exists, like we just said, the spiritual worlds, anything that exists, period. In the infinitum of possibility. Because even when you say, well, what's the opposite, you know? Let's just do a quick recap on opposites, if you're with us, whoever's watching this one. With me, but it's like, I look at my hand, and I say, my left hand, okay? What's the opposite? What are you going to say? My right hand? Or the back side of my hand? Or turn it over the other side of my hand? Or open, close? No. The opposite of my hand is no hand. The opposite of something is nothing, right? Obviously. So let's go back to what I was saying, okay? So the opposite of something is nothing. So the opposite of all possibility, like infinite possibility, right? There's infinite number to possibility. Level. Okay? So there's also an infinite, the opposite of that, impossibility. Impossibility could also be infinite, see? There's always two sides. One side shows that the other side is there because of its own existence. That you are right because there is a thing called wrong, you know? Or right, there's, you know, we're here because there's a thing called not here, obviously. So let's go back to what I was saying. Let's go back to the main point now. Main point is, can you imagine? Can you, if you can, call this number to receive your free teddy bear. Just kidding, just kidding. to receive your free fucking signed photo, autograph. I'm just kidding. No, I'm saying, hey, look. To receive two tickets for you and your loved one to be exported and transported to another part of the galaxy where everything's okay. That's right, it's called hell. Just kidding. Okay, so basically, can you imagine now existence of anything without time? Like, can we just have time and then there be nothing? Now, some people who can only see the universe in their mind, they'll say no, but we're not there. They forget, as in like what's outside the universe as well. So when I talk about the universe, I'm talking about the infinite, not just outside this universe, another universe. I'm saying absolutely everything, and that has to include everything that doesn't exist as well. Okay. And things always go like, can you imagine, when did time, let's say infinity, the time, okay? Infinity, the time that never ends. And you could argue, you could say that it started at one point. But if time is infinite, is it infinite in all directions? That's true infinity, I'd say. Not just one straight line. It should be like a sphere that's infinitely big and infinitely small. Infinitely big and infinitely small. If that is the Tao, and also, well, that means it has no shape and no form. Formless and shapeless, just like Bruce Lee was talking about, see. So it's a sphere that doesn't even exist. And you can say it's a shape that doesn't exist. And what is a shape? It's a changing, constant, flowing thing. It has to be flowing too, because if it's maintained as one thing, even though that can't be, but we say like it's an infinite size that is infinite and non-infinite at the same time, you see. The thing has to be flowing, infinite changes. Infinite changes between states. But if there were no states, you say, nothing would change. If there were no numbers on the clock, how would we know 1, 2, 3? Again, that's human people measuring with numbers and math. It's very hard to study the Tao. So we study number. We say how long. We know the time. We understand time. Like people. Sorry about this. I'm sorry about that water in the background. But we know that people grow old and die. We know things change. Paper over many, many years, the paper will go away. It will just things change in the universe. Everything changing. And it's like, it's always coming and going. But it's always one. I said, like, the time, yeah? Now is, and now isn't. You know, what is now? We can't stop time and say now is here. Now is always changing. It's always the past, and it's never the past, and it's always the future, and it's never the future. So I am here and I'm not here. It's like crazy, right? It's crazy, you can't imagine it. But it's true. The future will never come, the past will never come. You are now. But there is no now. Because now is also changing and moving, always. I'm just repeating what I've already said. So, but I'm just saying the point, okay, imagine, think about this, okay? So I said, can you imagine existence? Something, anything, existing without time. Now let's just say it again, okay? Let's go back to the point. The time, you can say infinity goes on forever, and it had a beginning. No, what about before that? Before the beginning? There had to be a point at which in time where the beginning started. You may say no, not exactly. But just from a time topic standpoint, viewpoint, it's not just a straight line, it's an infinite sphere, or an infinite thing in all directions. Infinite directions, even though changing, even the ones we don't understand, like 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7, how many infinite D. And not only that, other things too. We talk about direction, size, mass, weight, measurement, our measurements of speed, through the universe. Like we say, you travel faster than the speed of light, or when it is into a black hole, go into the black hole. Everything, all our logic, everything we've studied changes, is different to what a human experiences in a human life in the five senses. So like, can a rock or a stone feel? No, right? It's the human skin, for example, that can feel different senses. So there are tools we just don't have, and there are things that are literally really irrelevant to us. However, everything is relevant to the maintaining the substance of everything that is created as we know it. If I will see that it's actually here. So the time, when you say time, and you say there had to be a point in time for time to actually start, even if there was a point, and you say, well, because of the fact that it had to happen somewhere along, where, no matter how far back you go before that point, there was also time for that time itself to start in. So you see what I'm saying? If there's a timeline, you see there had to be a point in time for something to happen to start time itself, the infinity thing, in any direction plus that, okay? And now you say, well, no, maybe it wasn't time. And I can argue and continue to argue and say, well, time, blah, 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 time is always there. But the thing is, you know, there's infinite possibilities to anything, so there are other things apart from time. Infinite. So we're talking about the infinity of everything. All possibility and no possibility. These topics themselves are separate and as one, part of everything and nothing, part of yin and yang, the Tao, basically, what we're talking about. And we're talking about everything and we're talking about nothing. So no matter what we say here, we never ever come to the point. Even when we are the point and the point come to us, we never come to it and it comes to us. And we come to it and it never comes to us. And no matter what you say, there's always two sides. It's simply put, it's a lesson here for people to learn about their lives. But you're studying something beyond, as if there's something beyond, and if there's something extra outside of the Tao. The Tao itself will tell us, kind of, there must be, because there's a possibility, there's always something else, another side. So the other side of the Tao is going to be different from it, and is totally the same as it. We're talking about the other side, the opposite side, another side of the yin and yang, which is always flowing. It incorporates its very own opposite. The same way you should maybe embrace a challenge or a different opposite idea, or someone that disagrees with you, or someone who is the opposite of you, you know. The opposite version of you is what is making you exist today, you see. Again, like the poor, the rich, you know, the ugly, the beautiful, whatever it is, you know. So let's go back to what we're saying, okay? So for there to be existence without time, like a solid or physical existence of anything, can you imagine that? If you can, you win $10. No, just kidding. No. An existence, okay, of anything, existence, okay, without time, I mean, can you imagine time without anything existing? Is time and existence, are time and existence separate from each other? You may shun what I'm saying, you may turn off this video, but think about it again, quickly. You know? Okay. Time and existence. Now, we know that existence seems to be, well, from our point of view, certain standpoints, hard to comprehend existence without time. Yeah? But we see time like this thing where existence exists in it. You are here alive, and this is the time. You are the time that you are living in. Huh? If you were separate from it, you'd be the infinite Superman. Now, the fact that we can't live for eternity, especially in this form, at least, should be a motivation to understand that this moment we're in, like, what would you do if you could live for eternity and you had everything and the infinite power to do everything, like God, or like a king, with so much power, and you know you're going to die one day. We're all human, and you can't do everything. You know, so what you do is you'd be lost. Where would you head? So if you were, if you knew that you could have an infinite life, let's say someone created this thing where we could live forever, you know. Well, let's imagine now, okay, we're in this moment now. We've got only this moment to live today, this second. This here now should be equally as important. Every moment is equally important as infinity. It's just like every child in the family is important because it continues the whole cycle, right? You know, in China, well, I can't say everybody, but I know it's very important in a lot of cultures, a lot of different cultures, where having a child is very important. You know, so who is more important? You know, your father or your father's father, or your mother's mother. You know, or you or your baby. Each one is very, very important because without it, there can be no anything, you see. It's like a brick wall. A brick wall. Every brick is important in the wall for that is doing its job, at least. You know, we're not talking about extra things like we're going to put a big poster on the wall. We're not talking about things like technology is good, yeah, but from my point of view, I don't believe we need to do mutation, genetic mutation, plugging your head into some AI, VR, robotic, whatever thing. You know, they're trying to make people into like robot machines. That's just my personal take on it, okay? Or trying to mutate people so that people can become superhuman fast runners and they can fly. I don't believe we need any of that. You believe there's always better, or there's more things you can do, but it sometimes adds up to less. And I believe ultimately you're not at a loss. You always want to do more. You always want to do better. That means you always have less and you're always worse. There are limitations to being a human. There are limitations to being a dog. But you're not limited. You think you're limited is a bad thing. I don't need 8 arms like an octopus. I don't need to fly like a bird. I am literally okay and accepting of my being. It's not a patience thing or, okay, I'll just accept it and be a certain way. It's just a truth that is. And it's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful life to be a human being. And it's beautiful to be in the middle. And the crazy thing is, I was going to say a couple of things. Balance, okay, you can't have things have to be balanced, right? Otherwise, if it goes a little bit eerie or it goes the wrong way. But I was going to say, balance needs to be. Hell, everything always is. So everything must always not be also. For it to be balanced. It must be total balance. You can't say any more or less in one direction because there becomes no balance. So when both sides are the same, you see, you've got to have not too much sugar, not too much salt. Not too less salt, not too less sugar, right? You don't say you're going to have 50-50, oh, it's perfect, 100. You know, 100, I mean, you know. That's too much, it's overload. Or not enough, 25. That's not enough. Or salt and salt. You know, salt and sugar. You know what I'm saying? It's like health as well, so... You know what I'm saying? You could use any kind of word you want, more or less, whatever it is, full empty, any kind of word. Try and take the philosophy of the Tao and this kind of stuff, and look at that, you know, the opposites, and look at what are opposites. People nowadays, they just put anything together. You know, phone in one hand, can of beer in the other hand, and they try to say, oh, that's balance. You've got a bit of both, you know. A bit of both. What about your health, man? You know? What about your time, man? Yeah. You got money in one hand, you got nothing in the other hand. What are you going to do? You know? Okay, you split the money in both hands. What? Oh, you got money in both hands. You got 2 empty hands. What are you going to do? You know? It's not just philosophy, that mumbo jumbo jargon. This is real life, you know? So the point is, now, you always exist, you never exist. This point now, what we're living in, this now moment, it always comes and goes, always coming and going. It never separated from it. All existence is always with it. It just so happens it's this kind of existence that we are experiencing. There may be multiple existences of any kind of manifestation of a universe. Infinite manifestations of infinite variations of manifestations of existence itself. And the Tao itself. The yin and yang. Imagine that. Can you imagine that? No, you can't. No, you can't. So get to the back of the queue. So, human morals, human values and priorities. Now, like I already said, if someone, if someone says something, say affecting reality, right? Because you've got your own, there's the point. So one thing is like you've got your reality, it's your life, and then you've got reality, which is what's going on around you. And you've got nature and then reality of the universe. But you've also got like a reality, you say, like, which is this concrete jungle we're living in, this society. But then you say at the same time, I'm saying that's not real. But then it's a kind of real, right? You make it. And you say, yeah, and then we have problems. It's based on habits, different things we do, the mind and the body. So your body will have habits, like let's say for example, everybody's personality is different, right? But let's say someone gets very excited very easily, or very upset, or very angry very easily. Someone says some words, something they don't like, and their heart starts beating very fast, and their blood starts boiling, and they're very, they can be very happy, they can be very upset, very angry, any kind of excited, any feeling. But some other people may be very calm, maybe sweating, shaking, whatever. Okay, the reaction is the body's natural reaction to the ideas in your mind of what you're seeing visually in your mind, and you think from what could be someone's words or something you've seen in the world, that you think based on your habit and your memory, this is good for me, or this is bad for me, this is dangerous for me, or my existence in reality. And you start to have these effects when actually it may not even be that physical effect may not even actually really happen because of that. It may be because it's habits based on this kind of thing, and it's just a natural reaction. So this is not a magic. This is not actually a true thing, that something's actually happened and it's affecting you. You affect yourself, and your mind is your reality, because your thoughts and your emotions start building up. We blame it on the world around us. It doesn't even really exist. The faking world, it's like not in accordance with nature. So it is and it isn't. The reality is reality of nature itself. The opposite is not. When you're lying to yourself all the time and living a fake life, you're not giving anything to yourself. You're not watering the plant, so to speak, And I love to drink tea, so I'm going to go and get my cup of tea now. And thank you very much for watching this movie. Follow nature, you can't go wrong, And I'll talk to you again soon. And do what you do.